Something for the ladies, something for the Marvel fans. There you go. That's how we do it here.
Yours is longer than mine.
It's not the first time I've heard it said with that voice. Here we go.
I am so happy to be here, to be just sitting next to you, first of all. As all of you are, I'm such a huge fan, and I felt like I didn't get to know you enough shooting our little picture.
We only had one scene together.
We did only have one scene,
Yeah.
and you had a crutch.
I did. Yeah, I did have a crutch. My method technique. No. Yeah, I had a weird crutch, and I was very dismissive of you in the scene. Like I couldn't really interact with you.
Right.
We only had like a day together.
Right. I thought you actually didn't like me.
Yeah, well, because I was deep in the character.
Was that?
Very deep. I was nervous. You were Night Owl, for God's sake.
Actually, I do have 2 bones to pick, and we've been hanging out backstage, and I have 2 bones to pick with you.
Here we go.
One concerns Night Owl, because in the love scene you have with Charlize, when they go to your bureau, there's a Night Owl 1 doll on there. And I wondered why there wasn't a Night Owl 2 doll. So I'm either mad at Jason Reitman, the art department, or you. Because I thought it would have been nice. It would have been a nice little
But
nod.
it would have been creepy if an action figure of one of your other movie characters was watching us that would just be the eeriest.
That would have been strange.
Hey, why is there an action figure from little children watching them get it on? That's a weird that's the creepiest Easter egg I've ever seen.
It's actually on a laundry machine. It's back and forth.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
We all have that play set, the little children laundry machine play set. It's a fun one. That's fun with all the action figures.
And then my other bone to pick is how, and this is going to bring the conversation to a real lull, so I'm looking down. But how did you get into the Van Halen show at Cafe WORD, which was a private show, and I know you went, and we've never talked about this. I saw a picture.
Oh no! Here's what you saw. No, here's what you saw. That was the Van Halen show.
About.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's the Van Halen show at it was at the downtown
in LA?
LA Live, and when I was in the hang on,
okay,
there's still a brag here. And I was in the audience. Valerie Bertinelli started tweeting at me, saying, "Someone says you're here. Do you want to come backstage?" I was like, "Fuck yeah!" And so we go backstage, and I met Wolf, but I was with her, so I was with her and Eddie, and Eddie and Dave don't talk, so I didn't meet Diamond Dave, but I met Eddie Van Halen, who looks like a really handsome Gollum. Really, he looks like a GIF, a Gollum I want to fuck. Like that. He still looks good. He's a good-looking Gollum, and he was amazing. He did Eruption, and he's got it. So.
No, I am a diehard fan, so I was very jealous. Oh, huge. Well, my brothers and I, our band is actually a Van Halen cover band.
So. Oh, for real?
I left that out of our conversation.
Let me guess, are they called Diver Down or Junior's Grades? What's the name of them?
Romeo's Delight.
Oh,
no, I'm kidding. It's the Wilson band. It's the whole thing.
Oh.
Anyway.
Wait, did you go to Van Halen's last tour? Because
so many times.
All right. There's a moment, I don't know if you've ever seen it, where the whole band leaves the stage and David Lee Roth starts showing movies of his dog. Just of him I swear to God, of his dog. And then he comes out with this weird guitar and tells this bizarre story about Working with the Horse, and then
plays ice cream.
And then he segues into Ice Cream Man from movies of him out on his ranch playing with his dog. It's the weirdest. It's like something like what if Buñuel did a rock concert, he would go, "We will have a dog things," and then we Ice Cream Man. No one will understand it. It'll be perfect.
Yeah. But see, as the former owner of an Australian cattle dog, I actually loved being in like the garden watching the dog. I thought, why am I watching an Australian cattle dog?
Imagine them doing that at the whiskey back in the 70s. Like everyone's coked out of their mind, just topless girls. I want to show you guys some films of my dog. I thought we were okay. Yeah.
Anyway, I absolutely. Have you guys read this book yet? We don't have this book. We just bought it. Okay, it's unbelievable. That's why they're here.
What? They've had 2 days.
And I say this as a guy my wife will attest. I'm a horrible reader. I know. That's why I'm being a part of this bookstore. But what I loved about the book, I'm always fascinated by comedians that have gotten into, that have gotten into movies, and your obsession with movies, I think, is beyond even most actors. I, as a guy who's been doing films, I don't have nearly the amount of, I have not seen nearly as many movies as you have, and it amazes me, this drive that you have, and it's so well structured in this book, in this very specific 4 years of your life, which is unbelievable. And how many did you average a year at that point when you were in it?
At my worst, I saw 262 films in a year just in theaters. That was only going to theaters. Yeah, I know. So there was very little time. There was a lot of ramen noodles being eaten. There was a lot of Sprite for dinner. It was that kind of thing. Yeah, Sprite for dinner.
And a lot was at the New Beverly.
There's a place in LA called the New Beverly. Yeah, which is this amazing rep theater where for $5 you could watch a double feature every night.
Yes.
This guy Sherman Torgan ran it. He was another obsessive, and that's where I went. Like when I couldn't get on stage, I would just go to the New Beverly and devour movies.
I mean, and I actually had a recent very LA moment that only happens in LA at the New Beverly very recently when Quentin took over.
Oh, that's right. He just took over the New Beverly.
Yes, so Quentin Tarantino just took over this theater, and I went and saw a print of Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice.
I did too. Wait a minute. On
First night?
Yeah. Were you there?
Yes!
What the hell?
Yes!
Where were you?
I was about halfway up on the left.
I was right in the back of the center.
Holy shit!
That's, oh my God.
Wasn't that unbelievable?
Yeah, I had never seen Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice. And it's
Yes!
really weirdly.
Did you know this movie?
It's about those couples. They want to. It's so funny. It's so dark and uncomfortable, and it really kind of. It's like if people didn't. It's before people had stuff like Tinder and sexting. That's what they had to do. Exactly. It's amazing. It's an amazing movie.
But the fact that Quentin gets up there and talks about how when Django made a certain amount of money, he wanted to get a print from the studio, like an original print. So he gets this print. And then as he's going through it, Paul Mazursky calls and says, I'll come in there and color time it with you. These are all these terms that unless you're a film nerd, you're like, it goes over your head. Right. But it was so unbelievable to be in that theater and see somebody like Quentin that just eats, breathes movies like you do. And you felt like you were being a part of something special. So I certainly understand that fascination with the New Beverly, because I was there, and I'm not an LA guy, but I was like, this only happens in Los Angeles.
I wanted that every single night, even on the weird off nights where it wasn't packed, and on nights where there was one night where it was around December. I went there on a Friday night, it's halfway filled, and it's raining out. They're showing Casablanca. I'm seeing it for the 8th time in a theater, and there's a moment at the end. Like right where Bogey's giving the speech to Ingrid Bergman, the classic. Just as he starts that speech, like a scene out of a bad movie, the film breaks. Like as that scene, the film breaks, and everyone, the crowd was amazing. They first went ah, and then they started laughing because it was so perfectly awful. Like it's the last place you want that film to break, and then you could hear Sherman up in the projection booth yelling and trying to get it fixed, and we're all sitting in the dark, and then everyone spontaneously just started whistling as time goes on while we're waiting, and it made them. It was like that's my favorite version of Casablanca, where the film breaks and me and a bunch of weird strangers on a Friday night whistle that song. It was that little moments like that were amazing.
Well, I mean that is awesome, especially when you go into that in the book. But also we were talking a little bit back there about those moments of failure that I think are so important, and certainly and he goes into this, and it's so funny as you can imagine. But how important these moments of failure are, and what you learn from them, and how they come at each step.
Yeah, when you turf out, anything you want to pursue creatively, you have to have the moment of absolute everything burning to the ground, because that is what chases all the fear out of you. So I had that with my first time on stage, ate it horribly, and then just got over the fear of being on stage. Then, even worse, I had been doing stand-up I started in '88, did it for 4 years, now it's 1992. I'd gotten pretty good, I thought. I was starting to headline, I got killer A material, it never fails, feeling pretty good. Moved to San Francisco. Time to show these guys, there's a new gunslinger in town. You know, unleash my shit. So I go to the Holy City Zoo, which is one of those iconic spaces for stand-up. It's where a lot of people started out. I go up in front of then, again, young, really young, then at the time, people like Greg Proops, Margaret Cho was in the room, Greg Barrett, people like that, and I go up and I just deliver my A stuff, and it chews it so, because everyone there is doing really creative, edgy, new stuff, and I'm doing like, what's with these tampon ads on TV, am I right? Are they crazy people? Huh? Tampax, we're not number one, but we're up there.
I just laugh.
Well, we were laughing at how god-awfully clanky. And by the way, that when you're at a Red Lobster in Winnemucca, that destroys. You are the king of the mountain when you're doing that, and people are spitting up popcorn shrimp. But when you're in front of a room of comedians that are trying to do something really clever and new, they're just like, really, you're tampon ads. Yeah, we know they're awful. And I had to go, and then I went across the street to this place called Taiwan. Which is still there. Holy City Zoo's not there anymore. And I sat there and I just ripped all the pages out of my notebook and put them in the trash, and I ate dumplings, and then I started a new page, started writing new jokes. Like,
and did you
could have been more symbolic.
And did you feel like it then, like, okay, I am present in this moment is awful, and now I will rise, or were you just like, this is horrible, and I need to go home?
There were moments when I was going to go back to Virginia, and I had been engaged at one point to this girl, and I was going to beg her to take me back and just go get a job at a Blockbuster or something and just stay in my hometown. And I had a couple days of that, of just pure panic, like, oh, I was wrong, I shouldn't be doing this was a mistake. But it was good having that cliff to my back. It's either, well, then either go home or stay here and change. If you don't change, you die.
Right.
You have no choice. Like, there is something freeing about, now I have no choice. There are no options but to get better, or I go down in flames.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's funny because I can only think like as a, I did a lot of theater before I did film, and that's the only I guess equation with a stand-up. It's like film. You've got that great. I'll let you do that. The Stallone.
Oh yeah.
But right there's this. Unless you do theater or you're a musician. I mean, the stand-up, the reaction is immediate. It's a very visceral experience. Film is not a visceral experience. You can feel like, ooh, I nailed it, but who knows?
Yeah, you can nail a scene, but if it's cut together wrong, if it's put in the wrong order, everything can go wrong in a movie, no matter how badly or you can have a day where you do the worst shooting ever, and it somehow works. And Sylvester Stallone had this great quote about making a movie is like getting dressed for prom in a lightless closet where you're just randomly picking stuff off of hangers and and then you walk out and you're like, oh, I got a Hawaiian shirt and a dress on, and I'm screwed. And which is why people if you come out and you've nailed the amazing tuxedo, that's why sequels get made. So do that again! He's like, no, I've already done this. No, you're not doing the Hawaiian shirt and the dress again, you idiot. You go do another tuxedo. So that's why movies, you do not know. You can even, I've had people, I've watched early cuts of movies where I'm going, this is amazing, and then you watch it for an audience. Audience go, you're wrong. It's not amazing. You're wrong. Yeah, because you can get into your own head of watching something, going, this is incredible, and then it's not till you put it up on the screen.
When after you started doing some movies and some TV, and were you always doing stand-up at the same time? Did you always have that?
Yeah, I was always, even though I was trying to gobble 2-3 movies a day, 1 or 2 a night. I would try to schedule it. Again, I would have been an amazing heroin addict because I was so good at managing my time. Like I could get it just so that I knew, I would look up the running time so that I knew if it started then, and I would calculate in the trailers they would show so that I could leave, then get to the other part of town where there was a set happening. Right. There were a lot of times I was driving from Santa Monica, from the beach, like from where the New Art was, to get to the Largo, which was in the Fairfax. I'm amazed I didn't kill anybody or myself trying to do that.
Well, your time at the Largo is sort of legendary.
That Largo is legendary. I mean, Largo was one of those rooms, like, it was the equivalent to the Ed Sullivan Show in the 60s or Carson in the 70s, or the Comedy Store in the 80s, where there was a time, a very brief time, where you could go up there and you could change your career with one set. Because the people that were in there, because the room had gotten so hot, it was so well known, that people wanted to go there, and you could suddenly, the next day, they're like, hey, guess who was in the room last night? One night I walked off stage at the Largo, went back in the kitchen to hang out, and Paul Thomas Anderson was standing there. And I'd met him a few times. He's like, hey, I'm making this movie, Magnolia. You want to go do something in it? So that's literally how I got Magnolia. He saw me do a set and go, okay, I'll see you next Monday. Do Magnolia. So that, P.T. Anderson was just hanging out. Imagine if there was a comedy club in the 70s where you came off stage, Scorsese and Coppola are hanging out. That was funny. You want to go do Taxi Driver? Yeah. All right. Thanks. Like, I didn't know movies work this way. You do some dick jokes in front of a great director?
And then when, that's awesome. And as you transition into acting, it's funny because as you watch Michael Keaton having this great resurgence with Birdman, and he's unbelievable and always has been.
Yeah.
And he came from stand-up, correct?
He was a stand-up. Steve Buscemi was a stand-up.
Buscemi was a stand-up.
He was a stand-up back in the. But he was doing in the early '80s what we were doing in the mid '90s, which was there weren't really any clubs. So him and a guy named Rocket Tread Glare would just find.
I get it.
Right,
I totally get it.
Come on, it's very cool. Rocket Tread Glare. He's the guy that shoots Eric Bogosian in the last scene of Talk Radio.
Oh shit! Really?
He's that big hulking guy. Yeah. He was a fascinating character, but they would just find rooms like this and just go, can we do a show? And so imagine Rocket Tread Glare, who's just this mountain, and then skinny Steve Buscemi doing like weird routines and characters and stuff. That's how they got started.
Wow.
They would just ask, can we just go on stage here and start a show?
That's crazy.
Now, yeah. So there's a lot of people that come, but there's a lot of people have asked me like, wow, does stand-up make really good actors? Some do. Richard Pryor was a great actor. Michael Keaton became a great actor. Yeah. I think, pound for pound, the one profession that's not an actor that really becomes good actor, Martin, Willie Nelson, they all are these, Levon Helm, he's technically not a country singer per se, but did a lot of country stuff. So I don't know what it is that form of music is so raw and confessional that they're just used to. Yeah, they're just like, oh, screw it, I'll just do whatever I want.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And is there this sense of like, what I kind of dig is when you start talking about the stand-up's goal is either an HBO special or a sitcom, right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was always the track of like, you go on Carson, you get home over to the couch, and then you get your sitcom. But all that collapsed. So now, and what's really cool is now with YouTube and camera phones, what the new goal is to become completely autonomous. And I think the new model are people like Lena Dunham and Tavi Gevinson and Key and Peele, people like that. Key and Peele came out of both stand-up and sketch and improv.
Oh, I didn't know there was
all of it. Oh yeah. I mean, they would dabble in it, but they were all like, I want to learn how to do everything, and then I can just shoot whatever I want. And Louis C.K. is the model.
Right. Yeah.
What you want to be doing.
Yeah. And then is there this sense of like, or did you feel that of now? Well, I guess get into like young adult, like when you go, no, you know what? Now I want to stretch myself, and I really want to do dramatic work. I don't just want to be funny on screen. I want to see what I got. I mean, was there a conscious decision there?
Well, no. I mean, because it helped that I was a film buff, because I'm just drawn to whatever is a good script. Right. So I'm not ever looking for a genre like, I want to do a horror movie. I just want to do something that's good.
That's what I look for.
You want to do horror movies? Hey, Conjuring walking the pool, my friend. You just read, that was a fascinating script, by the way. That was a good script. Conjuring was really cool. So you just look for, for me, something like Big Fan is just as valuable as something like Borat or, I just want the script to be good. And young adult I'm like, if you guys commit to this ending. And that was one of the few times where in my mind, I told the story in my mind of like, I know the studio fought them, and the studio was told, they actually let him do what he wanted to do with that ending.
Well, yeah.
Crazy.
And Up in the Air helped, sort of.
Yeah, exactly. Let them do that. But yeah, I mean, that is the closest thing I've been involved in. That and Big Fan to those really early 70s movies that I love so much. The Five Easy Pieces and The Rain People and stuff like that, where they just tell a story and we'll trust the audience. Yeah. So
Did you have a great experience on the movie?
Young Adult. Oh my God, yeah. Because you know what was great about Young Adult, working with the one scene I got to do with you, then all the scenes I got to do with Charlize were. I got all that myth of the method out of my head.
Right.
Because you guys do these great performances, and especially if you watch Charlize, in your mind, you must, I know a lot of people watch and go, was she in that character the whole time? Nope.
Right.
When they would yell cut, she would be Charlize and
Yep.
chat and bullshit and tell jokes, and then they would go action, and she would zip right back, and like, that's actually what real acting is.
Yeah.
Is when you can just zip right in and out of it. You don't need to do all that tortured, don't talk to me because right now I'm Mavis. Like, no, I can do both. It's not that, and she goes deep and dark. And to watch that done, the only other time I've seen that amazing was when I was doing United States of Terror and Toni Collette at a table read. And we were all reading the script cold, and she's sitting there, I remember she had a big Frappuccino, and it's the scene at the end where all of her personalities come out to help her write a paper. So she was reading it cold, sitting there, and went into each personality, just like that. I was like, oh, she's an actor. I am here in movies and television with clothes that aren't mine. That's a form of acting, but that's an act. There was just this whole other, like, oh my god.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Yeah. It was strange because it with it being such a dark movie and and Jason has a very specific tone on set too.
Yeah. Well, you had a really difficult role, I thought, because my character, at least, he's very wounded and in pain, but he's very knowing. Yeah. He's very aware of what's going on, and you had to play a guy that is so fucking dense. Yeah. He's the last to know everything in that movie. And actors, a lot of actors do not like playing guys who people are getting the better of them sometimes. Yes. That's a hard thing to pull off. Yeah. Warren Oates could do that really well. If you watch Warren Oates, he was really comfortable with having other characters get the better of him. Right. And be this guy that maybe wasn't quite, which is a very human thing to do. Right. But that must have been really, that goes against a lot of instincts.
Yeah, I mean, it was a similar thread of Brad and Little Children, where he's just kind of dim, and you have to make that choice. And Jason, when I talk about that, we would do sort of different takes of like, do I know what she's doing? Because if I know that she's hitting on me and I'm choosing not to take it, that's one kind of guy. Or there's a guy that's just oblivious to it, so you've got to find, but again, that's when it becomes, I'm going to give you 3, go make your movie.
Yeah.
But let me know what you end up with.
But that goes back to the whole roulette aspect. Which one are they going to choose? There are people I know that have done a specific performance for a film, and they'll cut a different performance out of it.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
That's not what I did. What did you just?
That's happened to me. That's happened to me. Yeah, and I feel like I'm just in a different movie.
Yeah, like I shot a different movie.
I have. There's movies that my wife and I have seen of me that I go, wow, I'm in a different movie. I thought I was really funny. Turns out I'm not. Wow, I thought that was gonna work.
Yeah. I feel really weird.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
You just, it's not great.
We'll take a moment.
Wow. Sorry to bum everybody out. Guys, don't go to movies, all right? It's horrible. It's horrible. You're not gonna like it right now.
What's the best thing you've seen this year?
Boyhood, hands down. Boyhood was. And I saw. This year started off kind of crappy for films. I did not have high hopes, and then it just accelerated these last few months. Then it just got Boyhood, Birdman.
You like Birdman?
I loved Birdman. I just saw a Most Violent Year.
Oh, I want to see that.
Terrific. I just got a screener for Top 5, which I'm hearing is
amazing. We wanted to see that.
Yeah. So, but Boyhood was one of those that, for a movie geek like me, it was great to see a movie that was saying, no, movies still matter. They don't have to be, it's very not a dying art form. You can do new stuff with it.
Yes.
Constantly. And that movie, it was thrilling to watch the boy grow older. It was also thrilling to watch Ethan Hawke and Patricia Arquette grow older. That was also really startling. Mm-hmm. How you see them deal with age.
Sure. When you're sort of imagining, did she go back to her TV show here?
Yeah, exactly.
TV show here, right here. Okay, now she probably was on another set, had to come back and shoot this.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And her performance, especially, I hope she gets nominated, especially because she is doing one of the, all this horrible surgery that people do to themselves and these punishing diets, and she's like, I'm just going to let myself age, and she ages into somebody even more interesting and beautiful, and I just hope that more of that happens. And she did a great quote where people have come up and said, "Used to be so hot. Like
Yeah.
what happened?" And she goes, "I didn't know that was part of my job. Did I sign a contract with you?" Like they literally have the tone of like it's her employer. Hey,
Yeah.
Patricia, what happened?
Well, there's there is a weird ownership.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
You know, I've had that. We had that when we were talking about Girls. I had that when I did my episode of Girls. And there's a lot of ownership.
Did you see his episode of Girls? How cool was that? It's a great series, and then in the middle of it, she does a self-contained episode that's like a self-contained short. It's just a little short French film.
Yeah.
It's so.
Yeah.
I love that so much. Anyway.
Yeah. But people have this ownership over you as you know, as a person or as an actor, and they just think you wouldn't do this. This is not fair. You can't do this to us. You wouldn't make these choices. And it's very bizarre to have how people have that. You know, it's like an ownership.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not doing this to make one dude feel comfortable somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm doing this to have fun and be exciting for me.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, that's what the actors that I always like are the ones that I've always wanted to be. Once I started getting into doing movies, which I never thought would happen, I was like, I just love character. I want to be a character actor. That's.
Yeah. So who's your guy? Who's your guy? Because I've got a few guys.
My overall guy would be Paul Giamatti.
Yeah.
You know, that guy's amazing. And then Margot Martindale. Margot is, oh God. And then there's even people like Tracy Walter, who's one of those. Tracy Walter, and he was Miller in Repo Man.
Okay.
He's the guy that's like, someone says shrimp, a plate of shrimp. But yeah. And he's always, even when he's in an awful movie, he's great in it.
Right.
He has found a way, he's been in movies forever. I think
Right.
he was in that Steve McQueen movie, The Hunter. I swear to God. And he is just this, I'll find a way to make it fun for me. I do a whole thing about Clint Howard. I was watching
Yes. It's unbelievable.
Apollo 13. There's a moment in that movie where when the oxygen tanks explode and they're getting all the bad data, and they just have the really nice, dorky haircuts and they're all science professionals, and he is reading off what he's getting, and he goes, he's like, oxygen tank 2 at 7.5, tank 3 at, and then he kind of pauses and goes, oh boy, what's going on here? Let me get back to you. And it's such a real, because he doesn't flat out panic, but it's that quaver in the professional's voice that's so, it's like when your doctor is looking at your x-rays and you just hear him go, oh, jeez. Whoa, like, they're not supposed to do stuff like that, or, so, it'd be like hearing Superman go, oh boy. Why is he saying, oh boy? So, watch that moment, and that moment was so electrifying to me, like, oh my God, that just changed the whole tone of the movie.
Yes.
It's a great acting choice, and then of course a great editing and directing choice of, oh wait a minute, that changes the whole scene.
Yeah.
The tiniest quaver of, you watch the scene, you'll see what I mean.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah, no, you get into that, and you're breaking down your performance down Periscope.
What was your first movie, by the way? What was the first movie you were ever in?
Well, Angels in America was the first. Now I say that usually gets applause because it was unbelievable. Yes, I agree with it. It was awesome. However, prior to that, there was, because it wasn't shot on film, so I can always get away with that.
Which trauma film was it?
It was this. It was this movie shot on Beta, called My Sister's Wedding, and it's not good.
Really?
As I stare into the camera.
Yeah, not.
No, and it was not great. But I really had no, and they were it was actually very strange. I'm going to talk about this.
Okay.
Everybody was very angry on set, and DP was like, I think she's on coke, and the director was angry, and everybody was, it was so awkward and strange, and the movie didn't work, and then you get Angels in America, the next year, and it's this glorious set, now you're actually shooting with real cameras and on film, and you go, oh, that's how a movie's made, right.
Oh, okay, so you got the almost the joke version.
The joke, yeah, it didn't really feel like it, yeah, and then all of a sudden, first time film was rolling was on
Did
Angels.
You have a sizable role in Angels in America? Or
Angels, yes, I did.
Okay.
Joe Pitt, yeah.
Okay, because in down Periscope I have one
You
line,
line.
and I say because I think because it was People who have one line in movies spend so much more energy on their one line. Like, how do I fucking? Because we all have that. We all have that. The Hollywood myth of, you know, Tony Curtis was in that.
That's right.
One movie.
All it takes is one
Yeah,
line.
yeah. He literally just is like dancing and says one thing, and we're like, "That's a star." So in your mind, that's gonna happen.
This is gonna be me today.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just like, there's a call coming in for you as Admiral Graham. And if you watch the scene, and I had to do 2 takes because the first take, they come in and go, "There's a call." Because in my head, I'm going, there's a call coming in for you, sir. And I wanted to, it's in, it's as important, because I know, there's a call coming in for you. Well, I was you. Yeah. Call coming in for you, sir. It's Admiral Graham. Like, oh my God. But no, he knows Admiral Graham. Why would he? So, it was like, I did more character bio for that radio man than Sam Jackson did for Jules in Pulp Fiction. Like the 30-page bio he did. And then when you watch the scene, it's literally, there's a call coming in for you off camera, it's Admiral Graham. I'm this pasty blur, you don't even see. It's just like, get my SAG card, bye.
Actually, now that I think about it, the first movie that I was in, I was an extra in the movie Sudden Death with Jean-Claude Van Damme. I've never said this.
Oh, wait a minute.
I've never said this.
You know Jean-Claude Van Damme's first movie? He is an extra in the background at the beginning of Breakin'. There is a...
Not Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo.
No. That's the Empire Strikes Back in the Breakin'.
That is very true.
Watch the opening scene of Breakin'. There's a dance-off on the boardwalk. And he is wearing a black unitard. And he is so overly, like, trying to get the attention.
He's trying to get noticed.
Yeah, and he's just, I mean, it's like a you know, tank top thing, and it's down to his navel, and then it's all one piece, like bicycle shorts, and he's just dancing way too big. And then like a fight breaks out between the breakdancers, and you're watching going, Jean-Claude Van Damme's right there. Handle all this crap, he's right there. And he's with the dancer kind of like, oh, and you can see his face like, do these fucking people know me? It's an amazing sequence. So what were you doing? Are you like in a crowd?
So yeah, I have paused it to try to find it. There's a scene. So this movie is him in Powers Booth, of course.
Well,
who else would be a villain?
Who else could stop Jean-Claude Van Damme?
So he takes over the igloo. It's shot in Pittsburgh, where the Penguins play. So I'm in a crowd.
Oh wait a minute! This was Die Hard at a hockey game.
Yeah,
that's right. Okay.
Not as good.
No,
as it turns out.
No, it's weird.
There's a scene where he runs down between some people, and they got the actors to be on the edge, so you can go whoa when he runs by you.
Guess who's gonna watch something framed by frame? Oh my God.
Yeah, that was the first.
Did you take the director aside and go, hey, what if I said like, what the fuck?
I don't even know who directed it. I don't know where the camera was. I don't know anything. I just know we sat we're watching like a fake hockey game. People with Mario Lemieux jerseys on that weren't really Mario Lemieux.
Oh my God, that's fantastic.
It was a trick. It was in college.
So there's a lot of like, I mean, a lot of huge actors have that. Oh my God, there's the, who's it? Alan Ladd's profiles at the very end of Citizen Kane. Right. And they're looking at the tail, it's like just him smoking a pipe, but it's like someone, that's Alan Ladd.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. It's a mole man like me, just going, there he is right there. I looked up the call sheet.
You're actually the guy who does that. You write them down for people.
That's so sad. So I just...
Yes.
Oh, what are we doing?
We can do a Q&A.
Oh, we can do a Q&A. By the way, honestly, and I'm being sincere, I know how brutally cold it is out there. Thank you. I know a lot of you were outside.
Is everybody okay in the back? Can you hear everything? Maybe I should have said this 30 minutes ago. Now I say that. Like, no, for 30 minutes it's been...
Stallone.
It's very Michael Winslow of you.
Wow.
I got some film cred.
There's a YouTube clip of him on some Swedish talk show a couple of years ago, and they asked him to do like a because he would do that electric guitar thing that when he did, so he does a Led Zeppelin, so he does the electric guitar, and it's fucking amazing. It sounds almost better than Jimmy Page. I can't go look it up, and you'll be amazed.
You've got a lot to look up.
Yeah, this guy. So do we want to? Yeah, questions out there. Oh, come on. Are there hands going up? Oh, wow, right there. All right.
What is your book about? Because I haven't read it yet.
In a nutshell.
Everything you just said.
Yeah. It's about a couple in a really bad marriage. She goes missing. And you read her diary. It's pretty cool. I go back and forth. And, there's a bit of a twist. From the summer of '95 to the summer of '99, I was living in LA, and I became addicted to seeing movies at this place called the New Beverly Cinema, to the point where it was almost like it affected my life. I lost a relationship because of it. I lost a job. It was all for movies. It is an addiction memoir with no drugs and alcohol. But it's just as harrowing. So, yeah. Oh, I hope you buy it and read it. Oh, you got it. Okay, good. Yeah, right there.
Don't think about it. Who's your favorite actor?
I would have to say Paul Giamatti. He's always fascinated me. I've always amazing his stuff. The don't think about it through me. And I'm always thinking. There's one right. Well, I'll let you pick. You're moderating.
Okay, you had it right.
Moderate.
Yes.
Hi. First, I want to say you're like one of my favorite comedians. But
Thank you.
I want to know, who are your favorite comedians?
All my friends right now, really. I mean, those are my peers are amazing. Bill Burr is incredible. Maria Bamford is amazing. Maria Bamford's so good. I would rather do neither of these. I'd rather follow Louis C.K. than Maria Bamford. I would eat it both times, but at least with Louis, I would eat it as another comedian that couldn't follow his level of material. Maria rewires the audience. She's just doing something that's so new that you just feel like a vaudevillian in like baggy pants. A seltzer bottle out there. Hey, who wants to hear some jokes? And they're like, get out of here, you old fart. And then people like Blaine Capatch and Brian Posehn and Hannibal Buress. It's amazing. I don't know if you've ever seen Hannibal Buress. It's so funny. I mean, and a lot of people that, Morgan Murphy and Shelby Farrow, and, there's a lot of names coming up. Oh, Kyle Kinane is incredible. Ron Funches. Have you seen Ron Funches? There's a lot of really, if you look at the people that I follow, and that's a pretty good, on Twitter, that there's a good cavalcade of the up-and-comings in there. So,
In the back.
Think about it. What's your favorite comic book?
The best comic I ever read was Frank Miller's Elektra Assassin. That was it's so multi-layered and dark and well-written, and it was him at the height of his powers. It kind of got adapted into The Long Kiss Goodnight, which no one talks about. But it's amazing. That's been the one that really was like, I didn't know comics could do that, like on that level. That, and then also Craig Thompson's Blankets. Really, I was like, this is first love, and there's no goddamn punching in it. Oh my God, I'm crying. So I was not ready for that to hit me the way that it did. So,
Yes.
Hi. Two of you talked about, being on set, coming from stand-up, going to film. You go out, you joke around, and they call action, and then all of a sudden something happens. So what is it? Do you think about your dead dog? How do you drop it in? What is it?
drop it. How do you do it, man?
It depends on the scene. If I know I've got like a pretty heavy scene, I'm not going to be jokey, because I just don't have that mental capacity really to be able to switch like that. If it's something really dark, I usually go into music, because usually it just tunes out everybody, and then I'll keep it in right until we roll. So it's usually a song that will at least get something. Like if it's an emotional scene, I'll get something usually has to do with either my wife or my family, truthfully, that will just remind me of that, and that will just at least get me a little open. But more than not, it's about sifting all that away and getting to the core of the scene. So that music just sort of like ignites a little fire, and then you have to believe in the scene. I was never one of those guys that was like so method I could be acting with you but thinking about a dead dog. Like to me, I just was like, well, just think about this relationship and why this has got to make you emotional. You know, so really the music is more or less because there's always people around you going, okay, just we're gonna go here. Okay, just hang a boom here. You know, and it's just so loud. It's always so loud on a set. So it's usually just to drown everybody out. What do you do?
Yeah, it's similar to that, but what I also try to think of, especially if it's a heavy scene or a sad scene, is, you know, in real life when you're about to cry, you fight letting it out because it's a very vulnerable thing to do. So I just admit that I'm scared to be vulnerable, and if I get in tune with that, if I get and when I get very honest about trying not to let it out, then it comes out, weirdly enough. It comes out easier because trying to suppress it will connect you to what that is way quicker than trying to go, let me summon it and try to get it out.
Yes.
That's not natural. You don't do that in real life. In real life, when you start getting excited, you're like, I'm not fucking crying. Like, you start trying to hide it, and then it really comes. So, you know, that's always helped me.
Thanks.
What's your go-to band?
Well, the go-to band, okay. Well, outside of Van Halen, because it's like a Star Wars thing. It's like, oh, there's Star Wars and there's everything else.
Janie's crying on a loop coming out of your goddamn trailer.
No, you know, the past few years, I've probably rolled through more of actually the band. When you talk about Leave on Helm, actually, I sort of go that way. I get very, yeah, that's me.
I've really gotten into this rap band, a hip hop band called The Coup. There's a lyricist named Boots Riley, and even though the lyrics he's also a really, really catchy musician. He knows how to write really tuneful stuff. So it's this weird combination. A couple of his songs have made me cry. They're so sad because he tells these amazing stories. They're like story songs. So he's got that. It's so clever though because he'll say it with this bravado. Like I'm telling you, but the music totally betrays him and shows you how kind of sad and desperate he is. If you listen to Me and Jesus in the '79, Me and Jesus the Pimp in the '79 Granada last night will just lay you out. And there's another one called Tiffany Hall. That again, they're trying to. It's the combination of bravado, but then the music actually being his emotions. It just blows me away. Everything that The Coup does. And it was, again, I'm not a hip-hop fan. A friend of mine said, hey, listen to one of their albums, and now I've listened to all of his stuff. I'm like, oh my God.
Wow.
That's incredible. So.
Yes.
Patton, as a comic book fan and a movie fan, what did you think of Watchmen?
Take it.
All right, here's what I thought. I wrote a long essay about this that you can read it on the AV Club. So this is not, but everybody that was prejudging that movie, you know, like, oh, why would you film this? I was like, okay, first off, all you nerds trashing this movie before you've seen it, you're all going to go see it. So stop it. Don't give me this. I'm not gonna do it. Yes, you are. You have all the time in the world to go see Watchmen. And Zach, they were going to make the movie one way or the other, and Zach was like, they could hand it to somebody awful. I'm going to step up and give this thing a shot. So I think the one thing that he did wrong in that movie was, when any work, comic book, you have to adapt it. Mm-hmm. And there were some scenes where he shot it so slavishly to the comic that it didn't work on film. There were some scenes I thought were amazing. That the prison break sequence, right. That was actually an adaptation of the prison break. He didn't. Right. It was one of the few times he goes, let's use this as a skeleton, but we'll build something new on it. Right. And that opening sequence that is not in the comic was amazing. So that, you know, it's a 50-50 film for me. You know, it was I really appreciated the effort, but I wish he had done more stuff like the prison break sequence or the extended the way that he filmed the ending and stuff, where he's like, no, we're not going to do the monster, it's going to be something else. Right. You have to adapt it. And now, also that said, I'm not saying this because he's sitting here. I thought the performances were amazing. I thought I loved Rorschach. I thought that Jackie Earle Haley was fantastic. He and you know the fact that he knew he was doing a Gollum thing. You know that actor. I'm blank on his name.
Andy Serkis.
I've slept 3 hours in the last 4 days, but he had to do that. You know, Andy Serkis thing of this new medium. But
Right.
you know, what did you think when you were in the movie? But when you saw
See,
it,
I love.
Did you ever watch? Did you read the comic?
I did, but I was not a comic book guy growing up.
Oh, okay.
So I knew it as a script that was sent to me, and then of course you read that and you go, "What is this world?" Then you go to the
Right.
comic, and then you go, "Okay, I got it."
Mhm.
You know, there were panels of that comic that I loved doing, that I loved being slavish to. I loved standing in front of I love if you could do not just because I'm naked, but the slave grab of me looking at the suit. I thought there were some very iconic panels in there that I felt like we just needed. And of course, I can only speak about it from the perspective of, you know, Dan Dreiberg and what
Right.
you know, there were certain moments that I felt like we could, you know, from my perspective, we're usually just given words, and here I'm given pictures. And in that, I thought that was such a useful tool to sort of get inside Dan, and there were so many moments of like where you see Dan sort of this smile as when he sees Silk Spectre, and these moments that, you know, and again standing against the, you know, looking longingly at his outfit and knowing how emasculated he is, and that's the only thing that gives him power. So for those moments, I thought I love that we're sticking to the comic, because I felt like it gave me strength. I felt like if I was gonna, because in a strange way, I made the mistake with little children of, after talking to Todd Field and him saying, don't read the book, just concentrate on the script. So I didn't read the book till after we did the movie. And of course I was like, shit, why did I do that? There are so many things that I felt, but you know, you're always doing that balance, right? When you're adapting a script, but with Watchmen, I was like, all right, I'm going to be slavish to these panels, and I'm going to go to him with Zach, and Jackie and I would come in some days and say, you know, I love this moment in the comic. And so I actually tried to, from the actor's perspective, I wanted to capitalize on being slavish to it. But I see what you mean, but I felt like, you know, some of the ways that he, especially with, at the end, you know, I mean, you can't do, you can't have the giant squid. You just can't do that.
It works brilliantly in a comic. It doesn't
That's
work
it.
on film.
No.
Yeah. So you have to adapt it. That's what
Yes.
adaptation is.
Yeah.
Look, if they had stuck slavishly to the novel, the actual original novel of Jaws, that wouldn't.
Oh, right, which you talk about as being arguably the worst book ever made.
Maybe one of the worst books ever written.
Yes.
And thank God, Carl Gottlieb was like, come on, you. All this stuff's going. So that was, you know, you have to adapt stuff. By the way, when you were doing Little Children, did you and Jackie know you were doing Watchmen next?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Yeah.
That would have been really weird on the set to go, wow, this is Night Owl and Rorschach, but this is almost like an alternate universe adventure of them. You could almost argue that this is...
Last question.
Oh, really? After Captain Awkward? Just dropped it in? Come on. All right, redeem us, last question.
Who's got it? Take it.
Patton, how much did you hate The Conjuring? If I may read a series of tweets you wrote while you were... Conjuring was awesome and had one of the scariest scenes.
Oh, no.
And I don't want to spoil it, but there's a genuinely like, hey, they did an original scary scene that I had.
Yeah.
It fucked me over in a way that I hadn't fucked over.
Okay.
In a great way. I'm saying that
Yeah.
like, oh god damn, I didn't know that. So,
Yes.
Patton,
yes.
if J.J. Abrams calls you up and
Oh
says,
god. I filmed your filibuster, much like Zack Snyder filmed Watchmen. No.
he tells you he cannot pay all the licensing fees, but he says that you're allowed to write yourself in to the new Star Wars. And it can be as major characters you want, or as small characters you want. And if you choose to set the plot to fit your character.
Was that written down?
It was, after I saw that scene, I thought that would be awesome, but they're not going to pay for all these licenses.
First off, I hope you're not a time traveler. You trying to worm me away from something? I'm just saying, if J.J. Abrams calls your cell phone at 11:41 tonight. Look, I would not. I remember when they were there was rumors that either NSYNC or New Kids on the Block was going to be hidden somewhere in one of the prequels, you know, and everyone was like, "This stunt, like, I don't want to do any like clever meta stunt casting in a movie like that. I want it to be its own universe. So if I could find a way to fit into it organically, I would have to be as a minor character. It's too, and I don't want to sound braggy, but I'm too publicly connected to my feelings about Star Wars to then have me in there as a major character, because the whole time you'd be waiting for me to look at the camera and go, right? Come on. So, fucking thing on the lightsaber, you gotta be kidding me. So, maybe I'd be someone really minor, like either a thing in a, something in a bar with a mask on, or maybe Porkin's nephew. Porkin's nephew. Let me tell you what happened to my uncle. I think that, yeah, I know it blew up a fucking planet.
Yeah, but he took it.
But it blew up my fucking uncle. Why didn't he stay on target? That would be my answer. And I know JJ, I've been to his, he has an amazing production company. You ever been to his place? I don't want to say where it is, because it's kind of this cool hidden in plain sight place. And he's really nice, but I would never tell him how to do those movies. Just, I wouldn't. Let him surprise me. For all we know, he's nailing it. God, people, give people a chance. We're dissecting movies. Look, the whole Marvel thing that they did, we all know it was a terrible idea, all right? You don't announce the next 10 years of Marvel movies, even if they're great, because you're asking for the universe to kick you in the balls. You are asking for the universe, like, here are my plans and nothing can go wrong. That's Act 1 of every Harrison Ford movie. This is going to be the best vacation ever. And then terrorist kidnapping. So, you know what that's like? I just realized, those Star Wars movies, when they announced the Marvel movies, and all the next, like, 15 of them, that would be like when Breakin' came out, and it was this surprise hit, and Canon Films goes, we're announcing our next decade of Breakin' movies. We've invested $100 million. I don't know what's going to be happening with music in 1992. We know breakdance is still going to be huge, right? We know this genre is not going away. So, like, just, even if you have those plans, keep it to yourself. Shut the fuck up. You're going to jinx it. Don't jinx it!
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Tomorrow night, you make your Carnegie Hall debut. Unbelievable. Thank you for coming here to Jersey City. Absolutely awesome. Patton Oswalt.
Thanks, guys.